Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kenneth Jose Miranda, the Vice Dean of the College of Business Administration of Dr. Yang's Colleges Incorporated, all the way from the Philippines. And I'm deeply honored to be with you today and to share a study that sits across the crossroads of youth culture, technology, and human behavior. This is a study entitled From Hook to Play, mapping the elements of mapping the elements that drive Generation Alpha's short form video consumption. And today, we are not just going to explore what Generation Alpha watches, we're going to explore why they watch, why they pause, and why they replay. This is about understanding a generation that is raised in an algorithmic world and discovering the psychology behind their attention. You see, if there is one message that I would like you to remember, it is this. Generation Alpha, which are children that were born from 2010 to 2024, they do not scroll for information. They scroll for feelings. Unlike us, Gen Z, millennials, boomers, people from older generations, while we seek content, these children, they don't seek content. They seek vibe. It's the immediate, rhythmic, intuitive yes that makes them stop. It is the same instinct why they pause for a funny sibling moment and why they replay clips that are perfectly synced to a beat. You see, vibe is not about aesthetics. It is emotional architecture. And this is why for Generation Alpha, it is the foundation of their attention. Maybe some of you would ask, why do we need to study Generation Alpha? Generation Alpha is known to be the first generation that is born in an algorithmic ecosystems. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. That's why Prensky in 2021, Prensky calls them the first AI native generation. Kay and others in their 2022 study argue that these children from this generation, they process digital media earlier, faster, and more emotional than people from older generation. And in the Philippines, and maybe it is true too in your country, these children, they influence family spending, brand preferences, pop cultural trends, and even what parents watch. This is why studying or understanding Generation Alpha is no longer optional. It is a strategic foresight. And one of the key elements that contribute to these is the rise of short form videos, videos that are 15 to 30 seconds, videos that are uploaded in TikTok, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. And for Generation Alpha, these videos or videos uploaded in these platforms, they have reshaped the global attention economy. For Generation Alpha, these videos are their teacher, their entertainer, their cultural mirror, and even their emotional outlet. That's why these videos would reset in every 15 to 30 seconds, so does their attention span. That's why 5 is the only language fast enough that speak to them. But here lies a gap. What exactly makes Generation Alpha stop from scrolling? What visual, musical, or narrative cues that signal to their brain, wait, this video is for me. You see, I have a nephew and I was observing him using his phone, and while watching videos in TikTok, in a matter of 5 to 10 seconds, I saw him skipping and scrolling 15 videos. And then all of a sudden, in a span of millisecond, he can decide to watch this video. That's the impetus that drove me. What is it? What's that indicator? What's that force that made him choose that video in a matter of millisecond? And that's why that is a question this study answers. And this research has 4 core objectives: to identify perceptual, narrative, and emotional triggers of stop scroll behavior, to validate the proposed Vibe framework, which I will be presenting in a while, to contextualize within the Philippine digital ecosystem, to generate insights for marketers, educators, and enterprises. For the research methodology, I decided in order to decode their digital behavior, I employed a purely qualitative design with 4 methods. These are content analysis of 120 videos, adapted eye tracking, micro-interaction mapping, and interview with parents. Let's begin with the first methodology I use, which is about analyzing 120 trending videos, 40 from Facebook, 40 from TikTok, and 40 from YouTube. And in this method, I analyze and examine the visual style, text overlays, musical choice, narrative structure, faces of the subject in the content, their gesture, nuances, and the transition. These provided me a context on what patterns are consistently present in successful content. After analyzing and examining these videos, I then proceeded to the second method, which is an adapted eye tracking. Using OBS Studio, I recorded 2 things simultaneously, their screen and their faces. These gave me emotional microsignals, the tiny smirks, widened eyes, raised eyebrows. Because of this, I have learned that Generation Alpha hook or being hooked in a span of zero point 0.5 to 3 seconds, a finding that was supported by Bakshi in 2014 study. And this suggests that if the vibe is not right immediately, these children would scroll without mercy. The third method I employed is micro-interaction mapping. And in this method, I analyze the choreography of their fingers. Every pause would mean an interaction. Every replay would mean emotion. Every tap to expand means investment. And every fast scrolling means rejection. And with think aloud protocols, the children explain what is the reason behind their action. And their explanation is simple, direct, revealing. While watching the videos, they would say, funny, relate, I like the music, it's a cute video, I like it. And because of these, the data that we collected suggests that emotion plus rhythm equals replay, and is tantamount to engagement. The last method I use is an interview with parents. Maybe some of you would ask, why do we need to include parents? These provided triangulation with the data that we gathered because parents would help balance balance the picture. The children, what the children feel, and what the adults observed. And so all these data converged into one model after conducting thematic analysis and manual coding of the data. Maybe some of you would argue, why do I employ manual coding instead of using software such as NVivo? Because you see, for me as a marketer, it is important for me to examine the nuances, the short movements which software cannot capture, because these nuances would suggest a different meaning instead of just words being analyzed and being filtered by softwares. And all these methods converged into one model, which is the framework I would like to introduce, the VIBE framework, which stands for visual hooks, immediate narrative, bit synchrony, emotional relatability. And this provides a digital blueprint of the psychology of Generation Alpha. Let's dissect this framework one by one. Let's begin with the visual hooks. What captures attention of these children within 3 seconds? Faces and direct eye contact, high contrast colors, moving text and playful gestures, close-up selfies, pointing, and lip syncing. Faces matter because human interaction matter. Even in a digital world, our children gravitate toward connection over production. As a matter of fact, one of the participants said, I watched it again because the words are moving. It's like bouncing. It's the visual hook. The second one is immediate narrative. You have to take note of the micro story effect. We, as marketers, as educators, as teachers, we have to remember that we only have 3 seconds to connect with our students, with our children. And it is important that when we do content, we can start it with a question, a conflict, a challenge, a punchline setup so that we can hook them immediately. Because again, If the vibe is not right immediately, these children would scroll without mercy. As a matter of fact, another participant conveyed that long videos are boring. I don't like staying for it. The second one, which is letter B, that stands for beat synchrony. You see, for Generation Alpha, music is not background. Music is the hook. And based from the data that we gathered, when visuals match the rhythm, engagement, replay rates jump. And the top performing audio types that felt home to these children are OPM, or original Filipino music, K-pop, remix trends, and familiar meme sounds. As a matter of fact, another participant said that I feel like dancing because of the music. It helps me focus on what I am watching. Music gives videos identity, color, meaning, replay value. A silent video is a story. A musical one is an experience. The last one, and I think the most important of these four, and the strongest predictor, is emotional relatability. Children, Generation Alpha, would prefer videos that has clean humor, cute, wholesome moments, peer struggles, family-centered love, and even family chaos, and different acts of kindness. One of the participants said the video hit me because I can easily relate. This is why clean content creators are still being preferred by children. And with all these data that we gathered, there is one unifying insight. Generation Alpha prioritizes authenticity more than polished production, emotion more than aesthetics, relatability more than aspiration. They don't care about the cinematic, the perfection, or the polishedness of the video. As a matter of fact, they prefer raw, authentic, spontaneous video. And what is the value of this framework that we developed because of this study? The value of Vibe framework is that it is a creative compass, a marketing strategy, a cultural lens, even a psychological model. It tells us if you want Generation Alpha's attention, if you want your children's attention, you must speak their emotional language. In conclusion, Generation Alpha's short form video behavior is shaped by authenticity, rhythm, story immediacy, emotion, and cultural resonance. Some of the managerial implications for brands, educators, researchers, entrepreneurs include these. We must prioritize raw, authentic visuals over polished production. We must use culturally relevant audio, front load narratives in the first 3 seconds. We must design content with family peer-centered teams, and we must adopt child-sensitive guidelines to ensure ethical engagement. In closing, I would just like to end with this message. For Generation Alpha, Vibe is not about content. Vibe is about connection. If we want to connect with them, we must understand how they think, how they behave, and how they consume these videos, this technology. So the question now is, vibe or vanish? The answer is yours. Good afternoon and thank you very much.